Good morning, students. This is another day of physical education. And today we're actually not going to do any skills and we're not going to do a workout. Today we are going to talk a little bit about our 5 healthy fitness components. We have talked about it a little bit in classes, more so with our 5th grade and middle school. Some of our younger grades, we haven't talked a whole lot about them. So there are 5 healthy fitness components that we talk about in the physical education realm, and these components deal with our health, like our overall health. So they don't necessarily have to do with sports, things like that, but they deal with how healthy we are, and it's a measure of how healthy we are. So the first component is cardiovascular endurance, and this one has to do with your heart and your lungs. And it's the efficiency of your heart and your lungs to be able to pump the blood and the oxygenated blood around your body. Obviously, you need that blood and the oxygen to be able to sustain activity. So that's the first one. It's probably one of the most important ones because without your heart and without being able to pump that blood around, then you're going to have a lot of obvious health issues. So that's the first one. And then ways that we can improve it is by doing exercise. And so that's why we talk a lot about getting active, getting your steps in, getting your heart rate up, and moving around as much as you can. Because the more we exercise our heart, because our heart is a muscle, the more we exercise our heart, the better and stronger our heart is going to be, and the longer it's going to work for us. So that's the first component. The second component and the third component are very similar. So one is muscular strength and the other is muscular endurance. And so they're very similar. One has to do with how much your muscles can withstand, how much can you lift, basically, how strong are you? And then muscular endurance has to do with how many or how long you can withstand something. So how long can you walk? How long can you run? Muscular endurance. The more your muscles can endure something, the longer they can endure, then the more you're going to be able to run, the longer you're going to be able to play football, the longer you'll be able to go to the state fair and walk around, the longer you'll be able to play at the park. So muscular endurance talks about how long you can do something. So everyday activities that we could do to help both of those things is getting out and getting active with our body. So when we're walking, if we want to add a little bit of strength to that, we can add some weight, like a weight vest, or carry something with us in our hands to put a little bit more strain and stress on our muscles. That helps with a little bit with strength, but really to gain strength, you need to get into a weight room and be lifting a little bit heavier weights. The bigger concern is muscular endurance, because as we get older, we lose our muscle mass. And as you could tell, like elderly people have a harder time standing upright with good posture and being able to walk for long periods of time. So that has to do with both their heart, their cardiovascular endurance, and it also has to do with their muscular endurance. So those are two really big important things. The next healthy fitness component is flexibility. Flexibility is the movement around a joint and being able to bend and stretch. And the more flexible you are, the less chance you have to be injured. That's just a general blanket overall statement, but the more flexible you are, then the less chance you have to become injured. So flexibility is super important. Let's see. So we have cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility. Then our last fitness component that we talk about is body composition. Body composition is basically what your body is composed of. So it is all the like muscles in your body and the organs and the bones and the fat. So it's basically what we talk about as our muscle to fat ratio. And what I do talk about with the kids is I always start out by asking them, do you think we want to have fat? So how many of you think we want to have no fat or close to no fat as we can? Like the smaller, the better. And then you have the other side of the argument that says, yes, you want to have fat. Somewhere in the middle is always good. And then you have that other side where it's like, it doesn't really make any difference. It's just a number. What is your body made up of? So the answer to that question is yes, you want to have some fat somewhere, not so much in the middle, but somewhere in the like 10 to 15% range for men, and then like 15 to 25% for women. You do want to have body fat. So there's two main reasons why we need body fat. One is for insulation and protection. So you think about having a seatbelt when you're in a car. And that's kind of like what the fat does with our organs and our body, is that when we're moving and we stop and go and we get up, our organs, most of them are freely sitting in our body in different places. And so if we don't have fat around our organs, there's nothing to cushion those things against our skeletal system. So having fat is an important thing. The other reason is insulation and storage. So we want to be able to make sure we could keep our organs and stuff at like body temperature. And so it's insulation. When we're cold, we put on a jacket, but we can't do that for the inside of our body. So that's another reason to have that fat as an insulation inside of our body. So those are our 5 healthy fitness components. Talked a little bit about how I work on some of those things. Basically, any time I'm getting up and getting moving, so I can be completely full on, breathing hard, sweating to death kind of workout, or I could just be taking a long walk around the park. And either one of those is good for our health. Some give you obvious different benefits. I can't necessarily say that anyone is better or worse or anything like that. It's great if you can get a combination of lots of different things. So sometimes really getting your heart rate up, getting hot and sweaty, and breathing real heavily. Other times, sometimes it's better just to work on that stretching. So that's something that I'm going to be doing today, is doing more mobility stuff. I am not posting a video today, but maybe I'll post one next week about mobility and stretching, kind of like yoga kind of stuff. Flexibility is super important. So being able to make sure that we are able to be mobile, it helps keep our joints working well. It helps us from getting like stiff necks and kinks and stuff like that. So whether you're doing lots of activity, you're getting your heart rate up, or you're just getting moving, either one of those are great. And so your job today is to post in this thread about things that you've been doing while we've been on quarantine. Like, what have you been doing to stay active? So some of you have been doing great, like watching my videos, getting active and participating in them. But there's a lot of you who aren't, and that's okay. But I know that a lot of you are being active, riding your bikes, playing basketball, walking to the park with your families. So what is it that you're doing? And then if you can also, so you get in a raffle entry just for answering that question. What is it that you're doing to stay active? And then a second entry raffle for today, and today's the last day. So a second entry, if you can also tell me like what fitness component that works on. So if you tell me you're playing basketball, you've been playing a lot of basketball outside, what fitness components are you working on when you play basketball? Okay, if you're telling me you're doing a lot of walks to the park or you're riding your bike with your family, what fitness component are you working on? Okay, so if you could tell me that and kind of tell me why and explain how it fits that, then I'll give you a second entry into the raffle. Okay, so I hope you guys are staying safe. Miss you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.